area sports and things like that.
I love it. So moving on to connection, Chris, how do you take the conversation deeper to foster connection? Or if you go to a listing presentation and you do a lot of question asking and you're listening, you don't always get the signed contract right away, right? So how do you foster that connection moving forward?
Well, the first thing is when I go meet somebody, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, I start, talking and rambling, and I assumed everybody was selling or buying for the same reason, which is not the case. I want to find out why they're selling or why they're buying. What's their motivation? What's their timeline? And so I'm going to ask questions to find out what their timeline is. So if someone is looking and they got a house in probate and they need to sell right now, I'm going to handle them a lot different than someone who is a looky-loo that wants to move in 2 years. So I have drip campaigns, and I communicate back to them accordingly what their needs are, what their wants are and stuff. But I get them talking. I want to find out what their motivation is.
I love it. And what does conversion mean to you? How do you look at that?
Well, obviously, for me, the ultimate conversion's sign contract and closing. But anytime I talk to somebody and I have a conversation and we hit it off, that's me a contact. And I'm always asking, hey, can I stay in contact with you? It could be somebody at the grocery store. Actually, I don't go to the grocery store, so. Uh, but it could be at the gas station. It could be anywhere. I start a conversation with somebody. I'll start a conversation. I see someone with a Chiefs flag or a Chiefs shirt. We just start talking. Start a conversation.
I love it. Thanks, Chris. Peggy, let's move to you.
Thank you.
So 3 C's of communication, conversation. How do you start conversations?
Well, I was in an all-day meeting yesterday and happened to walk out for some reason, and I got a phone call from someone I had never met before. And she said, I want to, what's a good time to get a hold of you? And I said, look, well, we're talking now, let's just talk. And she wanted to borrow some money. And I just asked her a couple questions about borrowing the money and what it was she needed for. She's an escrow on something, and she's late on a mortgage, and she has a couple other payments to make, and the deal hasn't closed. So what I did was, in that very short 10-minute conversation, was listen to everything she had to say. She wanted to borrow money, so she thought I was a lender. I referred her to a lender. I gave her a phone number for that. And we talked about the escrow she was in. And then she asked me what I did, because I gave her a referral. And she said, oh, I've got this money coming out. I want to put it somewhere. And because that's what we do for a living, raise capital, she asked me if I could tell her a little bit about what we did. So all it was I said, let's talk now. Let me listen. And that's all I did. I listened. I asked one question. Building relationship is so simple. Like what Chris and Chris were talking about, it's asking the best question first. And it's all about listening, truly about listening. So now I've got a potential client who said, oh, I'm going to call you back as soon as we close this escrow. So in a month, I already have a potential client. I don't
love
know
it.
if
So
it's helpful or not.
yeah, it's very helpful. Thanks for sharing. So, following up
Wait,
with that. Oh,
and
sorry.
wait,
Go ahead,
there's
Peggy.
more.
Yeah.
So I met this young lady yesterday at the meeting, very young. She didn't really understand the meeting she was in, which was pitches from businesses. And it was at the Beverly Hills Hotel. And I went because I wanted to hear what business people are doing in the economy and how that's working for them. So we met at lunch and had just a nice conversation about who she is and what she's doing and who she's working for and how confused she is. And after the meeting, she asked me a couple of questions and I answered her questions. And she said, look, I'm really interested in tech. If there's anything I can do for you, please call me. Guess what? I'm calling her today. You know, tech is a challenge for me, but she told me that I gave her more information than she's had from anybody else in that 5-minute conversation, because I'm all about education. So she's just a young lady who's just starting a career and she doesn't even know what it is yet. So the more information she has, the easier it'll be for her to choose which direction she wants to go. And yet she made an offer to me to help. And I thought, oh, that's great. So two-way conversations.
I love it. So I think that answers the second question as far as how you foster connection, right? Like you're going to take your questions and you're going to engage, and there'll be another connection and another connection and another connection. Is that your approach?
Absolutely. How do you build how do you build your company? It's by referrals, by meeting people who like, know, and trust you, which is why we ask for the cameras to be on, who will then refer people to you and build that relationship. You know, when they invest in a commercial real estate property and they're a silent partner, an equity partner, there's got to be a lot of trust there for them to give someone else their money where they don't have control over it. So building that relationship is super important.
I love it. And what do you count as a conversion? What does conversion mean to you?
Conversion means to me when somebody actually commits to say yes, they want to invest in one of the particular opportunities that we have. You know,
I love it.
whether it be a multifamily or a self-storage or a construction. They say, yes, I've got money, I want to invest in that deal. That is a conversion. They become a client from being a prospect.
I love it. Well, thank you, Peggy. We're going to call one more, Monica Edwards.
Yes. Do you want me to answer? Thank you.
The 3 C's. Yeah. Conversation. Like you have a very diverse and interesting background. What's your method to start conversations, or how do you approach conversations?
I call it math, make a friend, right? And really, if you had no, you were just making a friend, say you moved to a new area, and you're sitting down and you're in a coffee shop and someone starts talking, you don't talk about business right away. You just make a friend. Oh, where are you from? How long you've been here? What brought you here? Just try to get to know them as much as possible. The less we talk, the better, right? The relationship is. It goes back to the old book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Be the most interested person, right? Not the most interesting. And I even have to catch myself because I'm a talker. Right? And like my nickname is Sparky. I'm like, zip it. Right. And I was a special agent for the government. That's what he's referring to. My specialty is asking questions. Right. And people love to talk about themselves. Right. And it makes them feel good that someone's interested, especially in today's day and age where there's so much disconnection. And so my conversion is when I made a friend.
Right? I love it.
Yeah. And I love that when I've been able to pour into them on any level and make a friend.
I love it. Thanks, Monica. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you.
All right, guys, we'll take a break here and do some open Q&A, and then we'll move on. Who has questions? Who has comments? Who wants to share? If you're new here, make sure you've introduced yourself to everybody. Please make sure you're dropping all your contact info in the chat. Everyone will get a copy of the chat at the end. Okay, 3 C's: conversation, connection, conversion. Open mic.
Am I the only one? Oh, sorry about that. I thought the open mic already started, but if it did, am I the only one who was just confused or just flabbergasted? When she was like, yeah, and I was a special agent for the government. Talking to people is my specialty. I just caught. me so far off guard. I was like, what? You just drop that and leave? They ain't getting away with nothing. I got all the information. It's interrogator over here. That was great. I loved it. Thank you so much. That was a perfect way to wake me up.
Right
agree
on.
with
Thanks,
that.
Roger.
That was absolutely amazing.
Like,
Yeah,
oh, by
Monica
the
comes out
way,
of the gate.
She does swinging.
All right, guys,
was
this is
my-
an open discussion. Who wants to share?
Yes,
William, I
yes,
see you.
Ye- yeah, I would like to share the name of my business is Luxury Travel. This travel business has touched many people on live, help many people travel the world and also retire early and give them back the regular job and also to try to raise money and legacy money. That what my travel business is helping me to do.
Thanks, Delbert.
Can you
My
put that in the
information
chat,
is in the
the
chat.
name of your business, Delbert?
I do that.
Okay, Judith and then William.
I'm a real estate broker in Austin, Texas. Good morning, everybody. I just wanted to add on to what someone else was talking to earlier about how people really do want to connect. I had a situation about 6 months ago where my phone number got hacked by somebody that was calling a bunch of people. And so for about a week, I was getting callbacks from people saying, "Hey, why did you call me?" And I would say, "I'm sorry, my phone got hacked. I didn't call you." And they were so disappointed that I wasn't calling them, and they actually wanted to talk. And so for people who are concerned about just reaching out and being kind and just trying to connect with someone, it's surprising how people really do want to hear from you and talk. So that's my piece.
Thanks, Judith. I love it. And I think you're 100% right.
Did
William Steiner.
Hey, good morning,
you put your
Raymond.
information
A little short snippet. So a lot of people start off with a conversation with who they are and where they're calling from, which is very important. I think that's the first 6 seconds is critical because if they don't know who you are and where you're calling from, you're obviously going to think immediately you're trying to sell them something. This is the point I wanted to make. A lot of people fall into this trap. How are you today? How do you feel? Or how's the day going? I think that's dangerous because we live in a world that I would say that not most people wake up very happy. The slim amount. I know Peggy wakes up happy. I know Monica wakes up happy for sure. She's probably bouncing off the walls at 6:30 in the morning. But I find what's very powerful is what we call mirroring. Instead of asking a question, so I would say, "Hey Raymond, this is William Steiner or WH from this company from our location XYZ," and I always say good morning. When you say good morning, you're not asking them if they're having a good morning. You're putting a word out where they would say, they would stop, think what you said, whether it's good morning or good afternoon or good evening, and they will tend to mirror that. So you start off in a positive and you're driving the conversation. I hope that makes sense. I hope it does.
Yeah, I love it. Thanks, William.
You're welcome.
Bridget, I see your hand up.
Good morning, everybody. Bridget Potterton from Keller Williams in San Diego. And it's not even 7:30 here, and I already feel like I've gotten all the nuggets in my head I need for the day. So thank you, everyone. One of the things, I teach a lot of classes to agents, and one of the things that has always worked really well with me in my business is telling stories. And sort of with like the questions and some of the previous speakers about what they're sharing and all the questions they ask, I always tell new agents, always have a story. Always have a story ready when you're meeting somebody for the first time. I'll tell you, I've gotten a couple of leads out of one particular story that happened 10 years ago, where I was showing a property and I got attacked by a cat. This cat flew and jumped on my back. And it was literally out of like a cartoon of me flinging around with this cat stuck to my sweater. And it's not about the cat. It's not about that. It's just about somehow being memorable. And, my clients that hear that story, they're never going to forget it. Bridget got attacked by a cat and, now she's like a cartoon, right? And I think that exactly with what the person two people ago said about people are sad. It's a hard time right now in our country. People need a little entertainment. They need somebody who's going to make them feel good, whether that's asking questions or telling a ridiculous real estate story. Always have one in your toolbox to use when you need it.
I love that, Bridget. Thanks for sharing. And Bridget, I want to ask you a question. Like, one of your specialties is divorce listings, right? That can be an extremely stressful situation that you have to manage. What are some of your go-to questions when approaching a couple people that are getting divorced and going through that? What are some things in your toolbox, if you don't mind sharing?
So most of the divorce listings, my focus is on attorneys, not on the public. I don't publicly market myself as a certified divorce real estate expert, but for me, it's really just having the conversations with the attorneys of finding out what I'm walking into. I think that as realtors, we get really involved in a lot of different legal pieces of a transaction, right? We all have to walk that line very carefully. We know where our line is of giving legal advice and stepping on toes. And in divorce real estate, it's an exponential danger zone that you walk into. For example, I deal with a lot of high conflict ones, and some of them have restraining orders against them. And I see in a lot of the Facebook group chats, people giving each other advice on how do you communicate with the parties? And I see people say, always do a group text so you look like a neutral person. And the inside of me is screaming, don't do it. Because what if there's a restraining order? And guess what? You just violated a restraining order. I mean, we as realtors, again, we're so involved, and you have to be really careful with how you communicate with the parties and understanding what it really means to be a third party neutral. It's not easy. And I think that we are always afraid of being accused of something. So we just bundle it together. And by doing that, oftentimes you risk an explosion. Even with really low conflict ones, I've made that mistake. Say you have a past client who's going to go through a divorce. They're getting along. So you're like, sure, let's do a group text. Sure, let's do the listing appointment together. And it might work out for a while until one little thing that you say that's very innocent just makes them explode. And so I think you have to be really careful. I'm actually going to be teaching another class for you guys in a couple of weeks. The email went out yesterday, so I hope you're able to attend, but I will be giving you lots of tips and tricks on how to work in this space. And also, if you're interested, how to build relationships with attorneys.
I love it. And guys, for those of you asking questions, Donna and Lorraine in the chat, just show up to that. In the email that you'll get from us, all the events are always on there. So you'll be able to grab it and register. And then if you get the email from Zoom, make sure it's not in your junk or spam. Zoom's pretty good. Then you can just add it to your calendar so you can show up and learn from Bridget. She's the best. Thanks, Bridget. All right, guys, who else has questions? Who else wants to contribute? We have amazing people here. And let's leverage
Sorry that
everybody's
my
time.
camera's
Ready?
not on, but
Yeah.
I would like to also just kind of put out there to remember the person's name that you're speaking with. That people love to hear their names. So I like to play games with people's names and, try to commit to memorizing their names by, I don't know, kind of like remembering a story, like Bridget said, or asking them how they spell their name, or saying their name through the conversation at least like 5, 6 times because people just like to hear their names. So, and then also I like to keep their business card and keep at least like 4 business cards that I acquired at network events, and then bring them again and see those people and say, hey, Wendell, I still have your card from our last networking event, and I intend on reaching out to you soon and connecting with you. Always really great to see them smile and say, oh my goodness, I can't believe you remember my name. And what's your name again? And what do you do again? So that's also really, really great for connecting with people.
I love it. Thanks, Candace. Hey, Thomas, I see you, man.
Hey, Raymond, when actually a lot of meetings, but particularly the first time this is not a casual meeting, but a business meeting that you're going to have a presentation. I always like to ask the person, if we have a successful meeting today, what would it look like to you? And try and see where their end game is and where they are and what they understand or what they don't understand and what their expectations are of doing that. And it just really helps you calibrate where to go with your conversation. And many times in that question, it'll not only bring up their expectations, but it'll bring up sometimes their concerns or where they are. And so it just positions themselves, which is extremely valuable when you go on with your discussion.
I love that. It's, I think it was Oprah that actually had a quote that she doesn't go into any meeting without knowing the outcome that she wants. Right?
Well, that's
Good, bad,
also
or indifferent.
that you also know what kind of expectation you have for that meeting, so you can share that. But I don't share that until I find out more about where they're going and what their expectations are. But yes, that's extremely important too.
Sure. Thanks, Thomas.
Oprah got it from Tom.
That's awesome, William. Roger, I see you, man. Hold on, we can't hear your audio.
Yeah, I was on mute on two different channels. My bad. Just something that, in regards to just, good way to talk to people, warm them up, break some ice, is if it's like something as simple as talking about breakfast. Like, hey, how's your day going? I had some tacos this morning. They were phenomenal. It's just I put a little bit too much pepper sauce in them though, so it got me up and at 'em. Just simple little things like that. Great way to open up to people. Great way to warm them. Wanted to go ahead and share that.
I love it. Thank you. Terrell.
Good morning.
Hi.
One of the things that I do, especially if there's we don't know where to go in a conversation, I'll start with, well, in a perfect world. And then I get to the outcome. In a perfect world, how do you see this happening? And that gets, for you, and they just say, and then of course I caveat it with there is no perfect world, right? But at least they'll start talking then. Well, what I really want is, and then it's as it was said earlier, it's keeping them talking, because I just earlier a couple of days ago, I had a conversation. It started out with, I'm not in a rush, to I'm on dialysis 7 days a week. Well, we got two different pieces of information that don't mesh. It's just he's obviously got the message that this is what you need to tell real estate agents. Otherwise, they'll, discount properties by 25%. And so, but to me, it's like, if you're on dialysis 7 days a week, dude, you're not in good shape. And it's a rental property. So it's not his home that he's trying to sell, but a rental property. And so it's gathering that information to help them get to their true end, which usually will come with a perfect world question.
I love it, Terrell. Thanks.
And thank you for pronouncing my name correctly, I might add. I was going to think with Candace, I was thinking, and if you say their name, say it correctly.
Yeah, you've seen my last name. Like, I have no room to talk, guys.
No, you don't.
All right. So speaking of names, Retha or Rita?
Retha, like a Christmas wreath. Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Retha, you're up.
I'm learning really quickly to become a regular at places, become that person who goes to that dry cleaner or goes to that particular restaurant or orders that thing. So that's what I would add for definitely for the connection point.
Yeah, there's a Starbucks I go to pretty much every morning for my wife's embarrassing coffee that I order and bring her home. And I won't repeat the order. It's ridiculous. But anyway, everybody there knows that I write a newsletter, and everybody there is subscribed to that newsletter. So it's really cool when I literally just pull up to the order thing, like, good morning, can I help you? And I'm like, hey, Jen. Oh, hey, Ray, the usual, anything for the kids? Boom, see you at the window, right? Then I got to that window and somebody else walks up and says, hey, oh my God, I read your newsletter yesterday. It was fantastic. Thank you. And asks a question about it. Like that's the engagement I'm trying to foster. But a lot of us are in such a rush to the transaction that we forget that whole connection part. And that connection part of conversation, connection being the bridge to the conversion, could take a day, could take 10 days, could take 10 months, or even 10 years in some cases, right? There are people that come back to me for all sorts of different stuff that I don't even do anymore, right? I made products for 30 years. I still get emails, text messages from, hey, how do I make this product? Where do I go to sell this? Do you know this buyer at Target, right? You never know what that's going to look like. So that connection, if you can frame it as just a bridge that you're constantly building and trying to make stronger, it's going to help carry you further. And it will get you that conversion faster, but not on your timeline, right? On the client or the people that we're serving. Danny, I think your hand's up.
Yes, it is up. So I was just wondering, following up with what you said, how do you get to the point of, I guess, converting people to get your newsletter?
So what I do is I just let them know, hey, I write I mean, it used to be a community newsletter, right? Now it's just a newsletter. I took myself out of the box of having to just write about real estate or this thing. Now I write about everything. I write about my interests, right? 1 week could be stoicism. 1 week could be conversations. 1 week could be something completely different, or multifamily investing, or whatever it may be. So as soon as I took myself out of the box and I just started writing to people, that changed. So now I can just have the conversation that, hey, I write a newsletter and I talk about A, B, and C, and that's it. Are you interested, right? If you're a lender or you're a real estate agent and you're trying to become a hyper local brand or authority or the go-to agent, I would recommend you just say, hey, I'm a local business owner. I write a newsletter about everything going on in our community. Do you mind if I add you to the list? Right? Like that's my go-to in a Facebook DM. If I'm engaged with somebody in a community group about mountain biking, working out, kayaking, right? Where's the best wine bar, whatever it may be, that's how I'll get them once I move them to a DM, right? So using everybody's analogy here, I'll ask questions, get to know them a little bit, look at their website, look at their profile, then say, hey, Peggy, I'm sending you a friend request and a message, and then I'll do that, right? If we're not friends, it's going to go to message requests, and they may or may not check their folder. Anybody here that uses Facebook knows most people are not checking their message request folder, but then you can also send them a reminder a couple days later. Hey, Peggy, check your message request folder. Since we're not friends yet, I sent you that, right? It's going to repopulate the feed. The other thing it's going to do is it's going to move that chat back to the top of that Facebook group so people see it again and you can engage more people. Does that help, Danny, with what you're trying to do?
Yeah. So basically, you're engaging with them. It's a little bit of a process. So by the time you're asking that question of, I have this newsletter, would you like to subscribe to it, or would you like to receive it? It's more like several steps down. Am I correct?
Yeah, but in the case, like, you know, if you go to my personal newsletter is raymondschulset.com/blog, you can see all of my newsletters and then sign up somewhere on that page, right? So in the case of Starbucks, how I subscribed to everybody, it was all at different times. They'd be like, hey, Jen, I write this newsletter. And it started with somebody asking what I do, by the way. Like it didn't even come from me introducing it, because I am a shyer person, right? Like I won't always initiate the conversation. I'll wait for the conversation to be initiated in some cases. That has changed a lot since COVID, and I got on this side of the camera instead of being behind the camera all the time. So I've gotten better at that. It's something I'm actively working on. And then the podcast has helped that, and writing the books and all that kind of stuff. So now when I'm somewhere, you know, hey, I write this newsletter. Can I subscribe you? Here's what I talk about. Does this sound interesting? And I've only gotten one no, and it was because they thought I was trying to sell them something in the case of real estate, right? And I don't want to be salesy. I just want to bring people into my community, and I believe you'll attract who you are and you'll find the right people to work with, right? So it takes time. It takes a minute, but literally you could go to Starbucks today, start our conversation with the barista. Hey, what's your favorite drink you like making, right? Or what are you really good at? Or what is something we don't know or the public doesn't know about being a barista, and start that conversation. You can just say, hey, you know what, Lisa, I write this community newsletter. I'm in the real estate space, but I talk about all sorts of different stuff. Would you like to join? Right? Or would you like to contribute? Why not? Ask to contribute. 10 things you don't know about baristas, right? Number one is they probably secretly hate their customers, right? But you can engage people, right? Like that is our job. So we have to figure out how to engage people with this type of stuff, with what we're doing here, right? So number one is don't be shy, right? If you're going to be a shy agent or a shy lender or a shy 702 plan provider or a shy investor that handles multifamily and investments, you're not going to get anywhere, right? The whole secret agent thing is real. You can't be a secret agent. You have to be seen and get found. If you can't be seen and get found, you're never going to sell anything to anybody, period. And at the end of the day, we're all in sales. You're either selling or being sold. That's it, right? Okay, I'm going to shut up. Jose, I want to answer your question, and then we'll do like 10-minute breakout room.
So I don't have a question. I was going to share something.
Awesome.
So a networking tip is never, never, never give your business card out. I always start out with, Matt, please have your business card. And when they give me their business card, normally they will ask for mine. And I always anchor it with something associated with my name so they can remember. In my case, my name is Jose Santa Maria, just like the Columbus ship. And I can't tell you how many people I've talked to or emailed with, and they remind me that we met 2-3 years ago. Hey, Jose, the Columbus ship. And that resonates. Just wanted to share that.
I love it. Thank you. All right, guys, I'm going to send us to breakout rooms. There'll be about 6 of us per breakout room. Chris Rains, how about a question for the breakout room or a topic for everybody?
Unmute myself there. Question for the breakout room. What is the number one strategy that you're utilizing to get business in today's market?
What is the number one strategy you're utilizing in today's market to get business? All right, guys, as Debbie says, go to your rooms. I'll see you guys in 8 to 10 minutes. Hey, guys. So everyone will start to come back in. What did we learn in our rooms? Who wants to share? Carrie, I see your hand up.
Hi. Chris gave us his thoughts on how he advertises other houses for sale in neighborhoods. So I am going to start walking other neighborhoods since I don't really live in a neighborhood. I'll look for houses for sale in neighborhoods and start taking walks there to get to know the neighborhood.
I love it, Carrie. That's awesome. It's fantastic. Who else? Who else wants to share? Who had good discussions?
Well, we had a very good discussion from Thomas, that he's a senior person and he gave so much of information regarding 720 plan and investing and connection. Yeah.
Cool. Thanks, Tushar. I love it. Thanks, Thomas. So guys, before I let everybody go back to their day, what are some things that you would love for us to present, talk about, bring to the table? We want to do some more panel discussions. We want to bring some more experts in. Anybody have anything specific they want to talk about, they want to learn, or they want to share? Does anybody want to present something that they do?
Denise Moore has her hand up.
Racer, we want a money mindset workshop once again from you.
Oh, you want the money mindset workshop? Done. No problem. I will make that happen.
Denise, speak up.
Yeah, where are you, Denise? I don't even see
And
you.
you're on mute.
Oh, that's why. I'm sorry. Good morning, everyone. Hey, Ray, I would love for conversations because you're so efficient with this as well. And I had the pleasure of working with Juan and Walter this week. Let's talk some more commercial. We get on every week and we talk residential. There's some of us that do some things different.
Okay. Love it. Absolutely.
I would like to learn more about growing a small business.
You're in the right place for that, Linson.
Hey, Raymond, I'm sorry. I never raise my hand because I don't know where that little icon is. So I don't mean to be rude, but I would like to see maybe us have some coaching on how to become memorable as individuals and find our own unique branding and help each other find that because not all of us have that. So maybe one at a time or in a small group, encourage each other to find that sacred zone that makes us unique and memorable.
I love it.
It's great.
William, I have your message. Who do you want to introduce, bud?
What I wanted to do was to bring to the topic is perhaps we should have a little something on international real estate business, because the fact is that some of us, or maybe more of us, will become international platform present. The gentleman to my right is a major key real estate broker who helped me with my personal residential and office here in Panama City, Panama. And he has taken on this big new project called Margaritaville, which all of us probably know Margaritaville. And they're putting together a wonderful new resort here in Panama. So I'm going to invite Peter to come to our events more often, but most importantly, to bring an international part of learning process. There's more business in the big globe than there is in one part of the globe. That's all.
I love it. Thank you. Danny, I see your hand, bud.
Yeah, I'd like to share about generating some cash flow. You know, we all know that toward the end of the year, the fourth quarter tends to slow down. So generating cash flow through buying notes, doing what banks have been doing for years, not so much buying real estate and then converting it and then, you know, you get tenants. Here, you buy the notes and you control the real estate and you're dealing with homeowners. So if we get an opportunity to share about that, I'd like to share that.
Okay. So Danny, I'll ping you about that.
Okay.
And I don't know if anybody's interested, but there are hundreds of ways to put deals together. Doesn't matter if it's commercial or single family. And if you want to know more about different kinds of deals, how to put them together, because a lot of people just go to no offense to Wendell and Danny, go to lenders and they don't qualify. There are so many other ways, particularly in commercial, to put your people into properties. And if you want to hear more about that, I don't know
Well,
if that's of interest to you
Peggy,
all.
that's an excellent point. I just thought about something, not to cut you off. Ray, you asked what we need. We should do roundtable pitch decks at the beginning, middle, or end, like a quick blib of something exciting we may have. Because Miss Peggy, that is an excellent, excellent point. And Ray, you know what I text you and Juan this week.
We call those have wants. You have something or you want something. That's part of the exchange world. None of you, and that's another subject that could be talked about, that I could talk about, is there's an exchange world out there where you could go to meetings. They have meetings, they usually meet, I think in Las Vegas these days. I don't go to the meetings anymore, but you bring your packages and they teach you how to put packages together so you could present and learn how to do 1031 exchange or just build your client's portfolio. So for Denise, the commercial world.
All right, guys, this is awesome. So I got commercial, small business, personal branding, international real estate, notes from Danny, and Peggy deal structure.
Mm.
That a good start? That'll keep us busy for 8 weeks. All right, you guys. Thank you for
Thank
everything.
you. Chat save.
Hold on. Yep. We're going to do 2 things. If you have Zoom open on your desktop or tablet, if you go to the chat and you hit the 3 dots next to virtual coffee, you can actually save the chat. I'm going to also go ahead.
Oh, that's convenient.
Yeah. See, Roger, you learn something new every day, man.
Where
I'm going to actually,
where does the chat
yeah.
save to?
It will save to it should save to your desktop.
Ah, okay.
Let me find my Zoom master file folder, today's virtual coffee. Make sure it's today. Okay, cool. And I also just uploaded it. So it's just a text file. Any device will open it. And then everybody's stuff. Gary would be happy to conduct and have a want marketing session. Yeah, that would be great. Gary, absolutely.
You
I'd like to do it actually with Ray.
Yeah.
I would like to actually conduct it with you and also with Peggy, because Peggy's knowledgeable about some of these commercial real estate have and want marketing sessions, and she knows how to bring out the best. I've actually attended, Peggy, those SEC marketing sessions.
Oh, okay.
Society of Exchange Counselors. I've actually conducted sessions where over $200 million worth of real estate is presented over a 1 and 2 day period, and with the CCIMs. But I'd like to work under how Raymond is presenting everything here so wonderfully, Ray, the job you're doing,
Thanks,
getting
Gary.
the input from everyone. And I like to work under that with Ray maybe and help everyone how they can do it in their own market areas, be generating listings. And for all of you, there's a special way to be generating leads with information, not just listings. In other words, your information is important, but you have to keep it confidential or people can go behind your back. The problem is, you brought up something earlier, Ray, about what I call the secret agent, where you know about something that's for sale, or you have a buyer that wants to buy something substantial, but how do you get it out there? Because you can't put it on MLS. You don't have a signed listing. But it's a piece of information. I call that information, what you have is the gold on the internet. And I would love to do a session with you, Ray, how to bring that gold out from each of these people that are online that have this information. And by the way, you're all the best positioned people in the world to present this gold on the internet in a confidential manner that is compatible with NAR, that's compatible with your local real estate boards and your licensing bodies. And I'd love to have an opportunity to do that with you someday, Ray.
We'll set it up. I love it. All right, guys.
Someone
I have
wants to
coaching sessions next, so I gotta wrap it up. Anything
Okay,
else?
somebody wants to subscribe to your newsletter. Can you put that in the chat?
Oh yeah, for sure. Thank you guys. And you can subscribe. If you're subscribed to Debbie's, mine also gets published now. We combined everything that we're doing. So that's fun, but I'll drop you a couple other options.
How nice. Thank you. Have a great session.
Thank you. And
Thanks,
if you
Linda.
guys don't know, one of the things that we are doing here, Debbie and I took our newsletters, combined them, and we also broke them up. So we now send 3 newsletters a week to 160,000 amazing human beings. The first one on Monday is called Better Bits. That's my newsletter. The middle one is called Impact. That's usually 2 impactful things for your business, as well as a list of our events, plus the invite to our Thursday morning coffee here. And on Friday is the junk drawer. It is literally a junk drawer. Everything else that doesn't fit in the newsletters goes in the junk drawer. We all have one, right? So that's what we're doing on the newsletter front. But I got to jet to a session. Thank you guys so much. This was awesome. And we will set all of this up to get you guys what you want.
Thank
Miss
you.
Peggy, I'm calling you right now. Thank you,
Thank
Ray.
you.
Everybody, blessings.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.